Hello my loves, this is Liz Ann and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to talk to you about personal power, what it is, how you lose it, and how you can get it back. So stay tuned. So in a nutshell, personal power is your ability to be able to create a life that feels good to you physically, intellectually, emotionally, and spiritually. Personal power equals choices available that feel good to you and your ability to make those choices. So basically, the magnitude of your personal power is equal to the extent of choices that are available to you, your ability to choose, and your ability to trust your choices. I know I'm repeating myself, but it really all boils down to this little word called choice. So let's reiterate this in another way. Number one, you need to believe that you have choices. And a lot of this has to do with mindset. So I want you to think really quick if people that are in prison and that have very limited, if any, choices at all. They are not able to choose what they're going to eat, what they're going to wear, where they're going to go, where they're going to sleep. All those choices have been made unavailable to them. And because of this, they have very little personal power. So their belief in their personal power is going to be very limited. Their belief in the idea that they have any choices at all is going to be very limited. And this belief and mindset is often carried over after they are released from prison. There is the psychological phenomena of some prisoners literally creating situations where they have to be taken back to prison because they can't adapt to living a free life. Often, people that become imprisoned have a mindset that is already limited their idea of the choices they have, or their belief. They don't see choices in front of them. They don't believe that they have a lot of choices. Which leads me into number two, and that is we have to know what our choices are. Sometimes, again, in mindset, we can get so focused on the choices that we don't have and the limitations that are there, that we're unable to see the choices that are there. And one analogy I used is, say we wanted to fly to the top of a tree, but we believe we can't do that because we're not a bird. Maybe we've watched the birds and we think, oh, I wish I had wings. But we don't have that choice to fly. And so we pine over the fact that we'll never be able to sit up at the top of the tree like a bird because we don't have wings like a bird. When the reality is, if we truly want to sit up at the top of that tree, there may be another way to get there. We might be able to use a ladder, right? So we have to know what our choices are. And to be able to know what our choices are, to see more choices before us, we've got to get out of the box of our thinking, of our current thinking. We got to remove labels and remove limitations and ask ourselves questions. What if? What if I could? What if this barrier wasn't there? What if there was another way around? And then we can brainstorm choices that might be available to us. So the first one was you need to believe that you have choices. The second one was that you need to know that what those choices are. And the third one, a very nuanced one, is that you need to believe that you can make those choices. So you need to believe in yourself, basically. And then number four is that you need to trust yourself. You need to be able to trust the choices that you make. So a lot of times we've limited our trust in ourselves because we've made a bad choice, what we consider a bad choice in the past, that had results that were not very happy and not very good. And instead of just allowing ourselves to learn from that, we put a limitation on ourselves, and then we start to look outside ourselves to get a surety and validation that our choices are sound, our choices that we want to make are something we should make. And we start to put more trust in sources outside of ourselves than we do in ourselves. It's a very vital shift that we learn to trust ourselves, because no one knows our needs more than we know them. What our needs and our desires and what's truly going to make us happy more than we do. And so learning to trust yourself again is going to be vital in your personal power. So some of the ways that we lose our personal power is, one is in our formative years and in our upbringing. A lot of times, children don't have choices. A lot of times children aren't given choices. A lot of times children aren't considered in choices. And depending on how your dynamics were growing up, your family dynamics or your home dynamics were growing up, could have greatly limited your ability to learn to make sound choices for yourself. One example is we may have been forced to sit and eat something that we absolutely did not want to eat. It made us gag and made us sick, but perhaps the parent just was angry or frustrated, it was just forcing you to eat something, and you didn't feel like you had a choice of whether or not to eat what was put in front of you. Another way might be your choice in clothing might have been greatly limited, or perhaps you wanted to wear a certain color, or two different things together that didn't quote unquote match, and you were forced to wear what the parent thought was more proper than you did. And this was never expounded upon, or you never grew into those choices. It was just mostly the parent said, what I say goes. And you learn to, again, like that prisoner, develop this mindset of being imprisoned, and somebody else makes the choices for me because their choices are wiser than my own choices. So it becomes a mindset and a habit. Another thing that can greatly hinder our ability to make choices and therefore have personal power, a strong sense of personal power, it has to do again with mindset and the stories we tell ourselves about the choices we made in prior years. And usually a lot of this starts in our formative years. So those years when our ideas about ourselves, others, in the world was being formed. And a lot of times we had stories that we told ourselves that became locked into our subconscious about ourselves, others, and the world around us. And a lot of those stories had to do with, you need to seek outside yourself and get advice. Your choices, you always make the wrong choice. You can't trust yourself. You need to be really, really wary and careful, and it keeps you in a state of indecision because you're so afraid you're going to make the wrong choice. And we weren't so much in a culture or a family system that reinforced good decision making, that reinforced, a bad decision isn't necessarily, or a bad decision isn't necessarily a wrong decision. It's just a decision that we learned from. And instead, we come away with, I am not a very good judge of making choices for myself, and I need to seek outside myself. And we come out of that with an insecurity that we tend to carry with us for the rest of our lives, feeling insecure about making just sometimes simple choices like where I want to go eat or what I want to wear that day. Sometimes we can sit there and go back and forth on these little choices and waste so much of our time, instead of just saying, okay, this is what I want to wear. It's okay. This is just what I'm going to wear today, or this is just what I'm going to eat. But, oh no, what if that's not the right thing to eat? What if I need more vitamins, or perhaps I need more protein, or perhaps this, and we just constantly are weighing all the information that comes in from the outside, which obviously we've been given the ability to weigh and judge and, have some wisdom around our choices. But when it becomes a thing where we're having a difficult time making choices, and we get into decision fatigue and feel frustrated, and it slows us down in our life, and we go through loops, and we get into a place where we're just not ever making choices that actually pivot us forward, then we really need to reconsider our personal power, and perhaps work on some things in ourselves to help us get that personal power back so that we can make quicker choices and start to get the ball rolling a little bit more in our life and feel more confident and feel like we have more trust in ourselves. So depending on the impact and how great an impact maybe a choice had on you, maybe a negative impact can very, very greatly affect your trust in yourself and in your choices. Another way that we lose our personal power via choices is not really knowing ourselves, not really knowing who we are, not being really confident in exactly what we want, or just precision clear on what our values are so that we can make choices according to our integrity. And so we can get really wishy-washy and make choices for ourselves that don't end up feeling good because we're not really clear on who we are and what we truly want out of life. And then last that I have here, although there may be other things you could add to this list, but looking at other people outside yourself, their perspectives. A lot of times we can get people on pedestals and maybe they've accomplished something that amazes us. And so because they've made this accomplished, we believe that their perspectives and opinions are superior to ours. And we tend to want to watch and lean on that person, or it could be celebrity figures, it could be social media influencers that we're looking for them to kind of give us the guidance and give us the instruction, and so that we can know what choice to make for ourselves. You know, there is a place for wisdom of others to come in and perspective of others. There's nothing wrong with considering it. But when it usurps your own decision-making process, when it usurps you looking to what you want and what ultimately is going to bring you fulfillment in life, when it usurps that, or when you're unsure even of what you want, then it is not always a healthy thing to be looking at those opinions, not for us anyways. And we're just kind of getting into that mimicking way of life, which ultimately leaves us feeling very dissatisfied, because when you just mimic somebody, it's not tailored to you and to your own personal needs and wants and desires. And so you can come out with results that don't feel aligned with you and don't feel as good as you hoped they would. And it can be very discouraging. So I just want to quickly go over a few of the signs that you are not in your personal power. And one of them is if you feel frustrated with your life, frustrated with your inability to just say no when you want to say no, or say yes when you want to say yes. So maybe something's being asked of you and you just so much want to be able to say no, but you don't feel like you have the freedom to do that without there being a ton of drama in your life. Another way is if you want to say yes, there's something you really want to say yes to, something you want, something you desire so deeply, but you always just say, I better not, or I can't, or whatever. That is a big sign that you need to listen to this video. Another sign is if you feel like life is always happening to you instead of for you. So you kind of just, oh, I just got to go with the flow, and, I don't know why this, and God knows, or the universe knows, and things happen all the time to you, but you don't feel like you're really making choices. You feel like rather it's just happening to you. Huge indication is if you feel disrespected, unseen, unheard, and unappreciated, especially by your significant others. But this could fall into a range of other relationships as well. When you consistently feel this way, it is definitely because you are not walking in personal power. Another big indication that you're not walking in your personal power is if you are waiting most of your life for something good to happen. Like you're waiting for the weekend to enjoy your life, or you're waiting for that vacation, or you're waiting for this accomplishment, or for romance, or passion, or something. You're waiting. You feel like you're waiting most of your life for something good to happen. that is an indication that you're not walking in your personal power. One more that I want to mention is feeling disconnected from source, God, spirit, not feeling like you're spiritually connected. Always kind of feeling like you wish you could be more spiritually connected, but you don't really know how to get there. That is another indication that you are not walking in your personal power. So if you've made it this far in my video, thank you very much for listening, and I hope you're getting something good out of it. And if you are, please hit the thumbs up for me and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and feel free to share this video as well. So the big question now, how do I raise my personal power? How do I get stronger? How do I get back personal power if I feel like it's completely lost? And that is a great question. And yes, you can get your personal power back. I am living proof that you can get your personal power back, because I had literally no personal power for a good 40 years of my life. So, well, I shouldn't say no, but very limited and very little personal power. So I'm going to now tell you about what you can do, the things that you can do and the steps you can take in order to regain, in order to build up your personal power. First, I want to answer one question, and that is, why would you want to have personal power? And basically, it is because it gives you the ability to create your life your way. It gives you the ability to feel more in control of life rather than life controlling you, just happening to you. It gives you the ability to create a life that feels so wonderful, feels so awesome, and feels so fulfilling. And who doesn't want that? So number one is you have got to first lay a really solid foundation of self-love. And in this self-love, you are going to learn self-awareness, you're going to learn how to nurture yourself, and you are going to learn how to advocate for yourself, and you are going to learn how to trust yourself. All these things go along with a good, healthy dose of unconditional self-love. The other thing is you need to really work on your mindset and come to a place of mind mastery. If your mind is always running amok with negativity and drama going on inside of it, and you don't know how to be present and to quiet the mind and to literally get rid of the thoughts that don't serve you and don't serve your personal power, then it is going to undermine your personal power all the time and your ability to really create a life that feels fulfilling and to have choices and to trust those choices. And then thirdly, it is about making choices. It is about deciding that your choices are going to be okay. And it's going to be okay because you decided that it's okay, and to trust yourself in that and to start creating your life that feels awesome to you. As you create your life and you start getting really in touch with who you are, what you truly want, and you start creating a life that feels amazing, that builds up your trust in your choices, and it builds up belief in the fact that you have infinite amounts of choices, and it builds up belief in yourself, and it builds up your self-confidence like nothing else. But again, you need the foundation of self-love. You need to be able to have mastery over your mindset. And from those two places, you will then be able to easily move into a place of creating a life that you crave and that is going to ultimately be very fulfilling to you. And that is exactly why I created a 3-tier course, coaching course, in which you do exactly those 3 things. You first lay a good foundation in my first tier, which is for the love of you. It used to be genuine self-love, and I just am recently updating it, and I have changed the name of it. But that's the first year, and that's very powerful, and I've already mentioned that, where you lay that foundation of self-love, self-advocacy, self-nurturing, and self-awareness. And then I have the Alchemy of the Phoenix, and that has phase 1 and phase 2, or the second 2 tiers in this process. And phase 1 is the burn, where we literally go in and we completely eliminate, we get mind mastery. We basically take it to the whole nother level, where we learn to treat our mind just like a computer and learn to put in it what we serves us and what we want, and to take out of it what we no longer serves us and what we no longer want. And it acts as a catalyst to the first tier of self-love. It cleans up any residue that maybe got left behind in that first tier. It really just, it empowers you. I mean, that is such an empower. I've been through it. I've had a couple clients go through it, and it is so empowering to go through that second tier. And then we move into the Alchemy of the Phoenix, the second phase, which is the third tier, and that is the rise and the creation of your queendom, what I call your queendom. And that is where we take everything we've learned and we start creating the real structure and getting the real vision according to what we now understand about ourselves and the awareness that we've come into about ourselves and who we are and what we are. And this just starts to really, really help us get even clearer and more precise on exactly what it is we want to create in our life, and exactly how we want to feel, and exactly what we want to experience, and exactly where the boundaries of our queendom is, and how we want the standards that we want around it. And it is a very powerful course. It's an ongoing course right now being built, and through myself and a couple other clients. And it is so fun. I've created these courses, these coaching courses, so that they would be very cathartic and also euphoric and enchanting. I didn't want them to just be another self-help type of program. I wanted it to be something that fascinates you, because you are learning about you, and you are discovering new things about you, and you're discovering the mystery and of who you are, and just it's so much self-discovery that it's fun and exciting, and you can't hardly wait for the next turn. And so if you're interested in this and you're interested in building your personal self-power up, then go ahead and click the links below this video and sign up now, and we can get you started. And I'm so excited because I love taking clients through these courses. I love watching the transformation that happens in their lives, and I can't wait to work with you as well. We'll talk to you next time.